Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Victoria. My name is Carrie Hunter, and I'm the Senior Minister at the Center, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here today. Online, of course, and we would always be very happy to greet you in person if you'd like to stop in on Sundays. Our service begins at 11 in the morning, our celebration service. Our meditation is at 10:30, and we're in the Cook Street Village Activity Center at 380 Cook Street. We'd love to see you there. But meanwhile, I'm happy to have you here online. As if you've been watching this series, you'll know that I've been using a book that is called The Time Is Now, A Call to Uncommon Courage, which is written by Sister Joan Chittister. She's an 82-year-old Catholic nun, an amazing person. This is her 50th book, if you can just imagine. And she said this is a book that she absolutely had to write. So I'm fascinated by every page in it. Every page gives one something where you can just stop and think. And it really makes you do that and absorb the information. It's extraordinary. And I've been starting, or at least I've been reading bits from this book as I go along. So I'm going to share a little bit with you this morning before I really get into my message. This is Sunday as I'm recording this, by the way. And we've had our service already, so I should have said this afternoon. So Sister Joan writes, "We have lost the holy gift of awareness of the world's needs that the prophets brought to fullness. We have overlooked what they knew best. The time most germane to our own holiness is now." What do we do and say and see and respond to in our own day? What is it? What is it that is the real seed of our holy expression? No doubt about it. The purpose of believing is to leaven the world, to bring it closer to Spirit one small step at a time. The quality of life we create around us is meant to seed new life, new hope, new dynamism, and the very essence of a new world community. No exception is made for anyone. None of us, however, isolated from the rest of life, is forgiven the responsibility. And how can it possibly be done by busy people with family and professional lives to live? The truth is that it is not that difficult. And she goes on to say, "It's been said that every community needs at least one prophet. The poet Mary Oliver may have written the best definition of what it's meant to be a prophet in contemporary spirituality. She writes, instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it." And I mentioned that last week. And she says, maybe we should start by writing Mary Oliver's instructions on every church wall. Then we might be alert enough to notice when the first refugees are sent away, when the first inner city schools are closed, when the first suburban bus routes are removed, making it impossible for poorer people to get to work outside the inner city. Maybe we could even start telling people about it, people who have the power to change things. Then, surprisingly, we could take our own place among the prophets of our time. I really, really like that a lot. And I was thinking about this business of becoming a prophet because, I've been speaking about this for the past few weeks. And of course, Sister Joan considers being a prophet, being a person who is completely connected to God. It's not somebody who's going to foretell the future. Oh, excuse me. It's really about someone who embraces God, heart and soul. And as I was thinking about this, and she said, this is what's really required to change the world. We need to believe, we need to know, we need to absolutely resonate with this being, this essence that we are, this love that we are. And when we are feeling that inside, when we're really consciously present with the presence within, things are easier for us to do. We're energized, completely energized by that. And as I thought about that, I thought, what really energizes us is love. And I'm not talking about romantic love. Well, that probably energizes people as well. But what I'm talking about is the love that we have for God and the love that God is for us. And God is love itself. And I was remembering Reverend Dr. Deborah Johnson. I heard her speak many years ago at a minister's gathering, and I was just gobsmacked. She's absolutely an amazing, amazing speaker. And you can Google her and listen to her. It's Deborah Johnson, Johnsson. There's no T in it. Passionate, strong, vibrant, exciting. And she wrote a beautiful book. Well, she's written a few books, but the first one that I read of hers was called The Sacred Yes. And she distributed them that day to all of us who were attending the conference. And that book became one of my favorite books instantly. It was something that I really resonated with in every way, although not everybody seemed to. She channeled the book. She said that she got up one morning and wanted to write. And as she started to write, the words just flowed through her. And she said that she was channeling Jesus. And that it's a remarkable work. It's filled with love. One of the things that struck me that she said is that we really need to take Jesus or take God as a lover. That, and I know that sounds strange, it sounds weird to us in our humanness. But what she really meant was, when you first fall in love and you're just kind of grinning from ear to ear and you're just feeling all of this passion for the person that you love, and you want to take everything to them. Whatever's going on, whatever's happening in the day, anything new that's happening, you want to pick up the phone and call them or text them or, however you can communicate with them. And the same thing if something goes wrong. You want to let them know right away. And at the end of your workday, you just want to run into their arms. You just want to, to feel that comfort, that joy, that amazing love. And you want to spend time with them. You want to talk to them about their day, about your day, about everything that's going on, about your deepest thoughts, your deepest cares. Well, that's what Reverend Deborah is suggesting that we do with God. And isn't that just something normal that we should be doing? When we have something wonderful happening, whenever it happens during the day, whatever it is, just say, thank you, God. Thank you for bringing this into my life. Thank you for making this happen. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Being grateful for every single thing that happens in your life, from the smallest to the largest, remembering there is no large and no small in the mind of God. Everything is equal. But isn't that a different way of looking at our spirituality? Taking our blessings to God and saying thank you, taking our troubles to God, and just being comforted, knowing that the presence is there, knowing that we're able to create a different life for ourselves, a different reality for ourselves, as we hold in our minds what that looks like. And as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, that when we're living that way, that basically we're living our lives from the inside out. We're creating a rich inner life. We're just not living in the external. And in this teaching, we know that everything's an inside job. It all starts with God's Spirit that is within each and every one of us. The thing is that we're not always just really conscious of that. And when we're not, then we're more tuned into everything that is around us. We're more tuned into accumulating stuff. We're more tuned into what other people are saying and doing, good, bad, or indifferent. And living an external life is a superficial life. And there's a silly story that I read years ago that really made me laugh. It's a story of a woman who died and went to heaven. Now we're talking about this heaven that we don't teach about in our teaching. We're talking about the God in a pink nightie who sits on a cloud and judges people. We're not talking about the God we know as an it, an intelligence, a creative power, the essence of our being. Anyway, she crossed over, she met God, and she was really upset. She said, I'm only 67 years old. It's too soon. And God said, well, let me look things up in the Book of Lives. And so he looked it up and he said, actually, in your case, there was a mistake. He said, you weren't supposed to cross over this quickly. He said, in fact, I have good news for you. You have another 30 days, 3 months, and 22 days left. So go back and make a difference and enjoy yourself. So back she went. And she thought, well, I'm 67 years old. If I'm going to stick around for a while, then I'm going to make this worthwhile. I'm going to have a facelift first. So she went off and had a facelift. And then she had some implants. And then she had a buttocks lift. And basically changed everything about her appearance. And after 6 months, all the healing had taken place. And she thought, this is wonderful. I'm now ready to go out in the world and to start this wonderful new life. She went out. She went to cross the street. She was hit by a bus. And she died. So she's back in heaven and she's in front of God. And this time she is really, really angry. And she said to God, what is going on? Can't anybody keep the record straight here? When I was here 6 months ago, you told me that I was going to live for another 30 years and 3 months and 22 days. And this is just 6 months, and here I am. And God looked at her again, and he went and opened up the Book of Lives, and he started pouring through it, and then he looked at her, and he said, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And he was just staring at her, and he said, I didn't recognize you. And I laughed so hard when I read that story, because isn't it the truth, if we're just living an external life, aren't we recognizable to God? If God were a man or a woman sitting up there on a cloud and judging us or watching over us, whatever, would he or she recognize us if we showed up? Would he or she recognize us because our spirit, our soul, it is so filled with love, is so connected to the divine in every way? And that's the place that we need to get to. The external stuff, not so important. I remember years ago when The Secret came out, and I first read it. Gosh, I think it must have been about 20 years ago. And I didn't like the book. I mean, it was what everybody was reading at the time and people really loved. But I found that most of the people who were reading it were just wanting to bring more stuff into their life, more money, more things. And I had always been interested in prosperity and in teaching prosperity, but I didn't want my life to be all about stuff. I wanted to be a truly spiritual life. And I'm not talking about walking up and down the streets and preaching and all of that kind of thing. I'm talking about feeling the presence of God within me. I'm talking about always cognizant of the fact that it never leaves me. I might step away from it, but it does not step away from me. And so, as I thought about these things, and I looked and I thought, why do we block things in our lives? There's either fear or love. We could say, oh, no, there are all kinds of emotions. In fact, those are the two. There are all kinds of feelings that we have. And if we look at any one of them, we'll find that if we trace them back, that they'll fit into the category of either fear or love. And so what blocks us from having our best lives possible? Dr. Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of our teaching, which is called Science of Mind, he talks about these things. And, in the last couple of weeks, I've said, this is the time of year when we ministers go back to basics. And I haven't dwelt on them a lot. The first week was the thing itself. God is the thing itself. It is everything. It is in everyone and everything. And then The second thing that came up is how it works. Well, it works through us, in, as, and through us. Whatever it is we're doing, if we're practitioners, ministers doing healing work, it's not we who are doing it. It is God's Spirit that is flowing through us that is doing that. And so here we are, the third week into the review. And the question today is, what it does. And basically, Dr. Holmes says, what it does is it loves us. And, if we start thinking of God as an it, as an intelligence, as wisdom, as truth, as joy, as love, we start to kind of scratch our heads and say, well, what do you mean? What's that all about? Because it's kind of hard to imagine something that is an it loving us. Well, love is another name for God, to begin with. But Dr. Holmes said that there is a divine givingness at the heart of the universe. It knows only to say yes to us. And so it says yes to what we are focused upon the most. And if we are focusing upon good things in our lives, it says, yes, let me give you more. And if we're focused on things that we call bad, that life is a struggle. Oh my, I don't know how I'm ever going to get through all of this stuff. If our lives are a struggle, then, and we believe that, then God will give us more of a struggle. It's the law of cause and effect. It's the way that we think becomes our reality. And so if we don't like the way things are, we need to change the way we think. But we not only need to change the way we think, we need to keep that changed and not just slip back a few days later and say, well, I haven't noticed any changes yet. But they can happen immediately as well. And I have an example of that in my own life. About a week ago, someone asked me if I have a personal life, what it's about. And I said, a personal life? What's that? I'm a minister. We don't have personal lives. I don't have a personal life. I don't even know what that means. And after I got home that day, I started to think about it. And the next morning, as I thought about it, I thought, well, why is that? What am I thinking? I have been parroting those words for so many years. And of course I don't have a personal life. My life is all about work because that's what I believed it to be. That's what I kept saying that it was. And so I communicated with the person who had said this to me, and I said, I'm putting my personal life at the top of my list. It's a priority. Well, ask and ye shall receive. And as I shared with my congregation this morning, everything shifted in that moment. I had an invitation out to dinner the next night. I had an invitation out to dinner on the Thursday night. The one on Thursday night was someone who was leaving town, and I think there were 23 of us who were there. It was a wonderful, beautiful dinner. I only knew 3 people, but I had the best time, and I don't think I've ever laughed harder in my life. It was absolutely wonderful, and a few of the people who were there said, we're going to start coming to your church, which is incredible. Welcome them all, because they were fun and bright and spiritual. The spiritual things that went around that table were just incredible. And I was invited out to 2 luncheons this week. And then I had been given a 2-month pass for Aquafit at a recreation center. And I thought, oh, that's great. I'll do that. And I love to swim. And then I thought, oh, that's not a free pass to the gym and the swimming pool. It's just for Aquafit. So I thought, oh, okay. Well, I'm signing up for the gym. And I'm signing up for that. And I'm signing up. I'm becoming a member so that I can go swimming when I feel like swimming. And I can go to the gym if I feel like going to the gym. I love to swim. And so all of a sudden, these things were shifting dramatically. I mean, in 1 week. And actually, today makes 1 week. And today somebody gave me 2 tickets to the symphony because she's going to be out of town next week. And so it continues. Every day there's something wonderful like that that's happening. And my professional life is not suffering as a result. And I tell you this because, I believe this. I believe this teaching. What we focus upon expands. I had been focusing for I don't know how many years upon, well, my life as a minister means that I just don't and can't have a personal life. And yet I know better. But I hadn't changed my thinking. And the moment I made it a priority, the moment everything started to shift. So is there anything that is blocking your good? Anything that's blocking something in your life? It's so easy to release it. Life is all about choice. We get to choose. We have free will. And so you could make a choice. You make a choice for it to be different than it is. And that means holding in your mind the vision and not letting it go and allowing it to just come true for you. It's the same with life. It's the same with love. It's the same with relationships. It's the same with absolutely everything. But we need to understand this power within, this power that is love, and to feel that holy presence within. Sometimes people come by it the hard way. I did a celebration of life service last Tuesday for someone, and I had been informed that he had been incarcerated, that he was an addict, that he probably lived on the street, he probably died of an overdose. Those were the things I was given, and I thought, well, I'm going to really have to do some soul searching to do this service. But the first thing that came to me was that, was like, thank you, God, for bringing this person into my life, bringing this person into focus so that I can demonstrate kindness and I can demonstrate love. And then I found that he had a sister here in town, and I went to see her and we talked about her brother. Totally different story. Yes, he started out, his life was difficult. In the town where he was born, he had his sister, whom he was close to, and his mom. But their dad deserted them when they were little. And mom just fell in love with someone else and decided to move to Victoria. And so she took her daughter with her, but left her son behind. If memory serves me, he was 14. And the mother thought, well, he can live with friends. And that didn't happen. He went from foster home to foster home. And then he started getting in trouble. He started making bad choices for himself. And then he was incarcerated. And while he was incarcerated, he was injected with heroin. And he became an addict. And when he left the prison, he was on the street. But there was something in him. There was a little light that was burning, that was calling him to do and be something else. And he went to Kool-Aid here in Victoria and started working with them. He thought about becoming a minister at one point, ministering to people on the streets. And with Kool-Aid, he had subsidized housing for the past 8 years. And he used to go out and walk the streets and make sure that people were alert and awake. He used to carry packets of safe injection drugs with him to help people. Anywhere he could, he helped somebody with whatever it was they needed. And his sister said that she used to sometimes walk with him. And with every person that he stopped to talk to, they all knew him. He was so kind and so loving. And if he could do anything for them, he would do it. If he could give them anything, he would give it to them. That's a very different story from living on the street and dying on the street. He went to AIV to pick up some medication for himself. He was HIV positive because of the injection of heroin that he had received in prison. And he was 52 years old and he died at that facility. He just basically walked in and that was it. Cause of death is as yet unknown, but it wasn't an overdose. And so an autopsy is being done. But I say this thinking somebody who comes from the most desperate places can be the most loving and the most kind. And I think that's because when they experience so much difficulty, they can walk the mile in somebody else's moccasins. And they understand them. And they know what their needs are. They know what they need to give. And this man did that, and he was loved. He was loved by his sister, dearly loved by his sister, by his family, and by people on the street. So he felt the holy presence within. It was calling to him. It's calling to all of us. You know, it's powerful, really powerful. It can propel us into action of any kind. We must not sell ourselves short. We must remember, absolutely remember the power that is within us. And as we do, I want you to remember the words of Reverend Dr. Deborah Johnson, because there's something else she wrote that I copied, and I want to share it with you. And again, she said this was channeled. She channeled this from Jesus. And it's called, I Will Be Your Lover. And this is Jesus speaking to her. Yes, I will be your lover, and let me tell you what I will give you. I will anxiously wait for your awakening every morning. You will always have my undivided attention, whether you ask for it or not. I will understand every word you say, and hear what you are too afraid to say as well. I will anticipate your every need and assure that each and all are met. You will be greeted with a smile every time we meet. My arms will always enfold you and embrace you. I will be there to share your glee, to hold your hand when you tremble. I will brush away the tears that fall from your broken heart and encourage you to risk another step. I will be your playmate. The entire world is our playground, and we can make new toys out of our creations. Forever faithful I will be. I will neither abandon nor reject you. Abuse is not in my nature. I will be mindful of you and care for no one more than you. I will not move away, nor change my address or my phone number. You don't have to incur costs seeking me out. Forever available, I am at your beck and call any hour of the day. I will see you beyond your weaknesses. I will affirm your strength and your beauty. I will share your load, lend you my courage, and carry you across the threshold of your greater yet to be. If you are as faithful to me as I am to you, there's nothing that we can't do together. Your dreams will become a drawing board. You will be limited only by your imagination. Your coffers will always be full. You will live from the overflow. The restlessness of your mind will cease. The mindless chatter will haunt you no more. Know that I am with you in every challenge. In every moment, picture me handing you a gift, a package of wonderful revelations. Don't assume you know the contents by the wrapping. And don't just stand there and shake the box, turning it over and over trying to guess what's inside. When you receive it with gratitude, the wrapping, yes, even the box, will become transparent. You will look beyond the appearance. Look beyond the appearance. You will see me in the box and know exactly what to do with me. I never tire of you. I hold nothing against you. I have no hidden agenda. I love you. I'm the right relationship that will be in love with you forever, in spite of my knowing everything about you. Is there anything more intimate than this? Why do you and the rest of humanity keep searching for something that is with you always? I am with you always. I love you always. And so it is. Thank you for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you here. If you'd like to check into our website, check in at www.cslvictoria.org. And if you'd like to make a donation to us, we would be very happy to receive it. We thank you for your generous hearts and spirit and for all that you do to make the world a better place. As someone sang this morning, this is the time when we're the people. And so it is.